Preakness Day at Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore. It's annually the biggest crowd at any sporting event in Maryland. Over 100,000 swarming over this historic track, which dates to 1870, the second oldest in the nation, trailing only Saratoga. They've come not only to party, but to see if Big Brown, dominant in the Kentucky Derby, can add the Preakness Stakes to his unbeaten record and close in on the first Triple Crown in 30 years. Hello everyone, Tom Hammond here at Pimlico for the second jewel of the Triple Crown, where Big Brown would appear to have the field at his mercy. Only one horse, Gallego, who was 17th after a rough trip at Churchill Downs, has come from the Derby to tackle Big Brown again. Still, there are 10 new challengers who have shown up to try to derail the unbeaten Kentucky Derby winner. They began sunny after a lot of rain yesterday, and the track was sloppy, but it dried out perfectly today. Some clouds have moved in here late. Still a chance for a shower before the race is run. 72 degrees now, mostly cloudy, but the track remains very fast. In fact, equaling a 6-furlong track record earlier in the day. Betting began on the Preakness yesterday. Big Brown was 2-5 on the morning line and has been bet down to 1-5 now, as you see long shots behind at the bar, scratched after bruising a foot. And Kentucky Bear at 14-1 is the third choice in the betting. Lots of long odds until you get down to Gallego in the outside post, post 12, or next to outside post, post 12, and he is the second choice, but at 9-1. And joined by Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens, 2 times a Preakness winner. Gary, take us back to Churchill Downs, and Big Brown was just so dominant that day at Churchill Downs, despite breaking from that outside 20 post position that a lot of people thought would be a problem. No problem at all.
Derby Day was a beautiful day, exactly what it was supposed to be. The atmosphere was great. He broke brilliant from the 20 hole, got every hurdle cleared that he needed to clear. Here he is on his way to victory, a brilliant victory at that. Kent DeSormo starting his celebration right now, along with Rick Dutrow and Team IEAH.
And of course, 8 Bells trailing him in second place. The filly running second behind Big Brown, and the brilliance of Big Brown's victory overshadowed in large part by the tragic demise of 8 Bells, who broke both front ankles pulling up after the race. Her death has prompted a wide-ranging debate on safety issues regarding thoroughbred racing. And for the remainder of this half hour, we will be exploring those issues with a roundtable discussion. It'll be led by Bob Costas, who's standing by now.
All right, Tom, thank you. The breakdown of 8 Bells 2 weeks ago in Louisville happened just after the race, when most people's attention, at least initially, was on the winner. That is obviously no longer the case. Today at Pimlico, there were some protesters from PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, trying to get their point across. And while they may represent an extreme view, it's clear that a large segment of the public has very real concerns. As the race for the Triple Crown now shifts to Pimlico, the focus on Derby winner Big Brown has been matched by the focus on the racing industry itself. How horses are trained, how they're treated, the surfaces they race on, what's demanded of them, and at what cost. They are bred to do one thing: run. And for centuries, the spectacle they provide has been a staple of the sporting scene. There's nothing quite like the home stretch of a Triple Crown race, and the notion of a horse chasing history at Churchill Downs, Pimlico, and Belmont still captivates. Over the past few years, horses like Smarty Jones, Funny Side, and Barbara have become well known even to those who don't follow racing closely. But with the pageantry and excitement comes risk. The inevitable danger presented by putting more than half a ton of weight, moving at 40 miles per hour, on legs this thin.
The thoroughbred racehorses evolved to the point that they're nearly perfectly made for running. They are very fragile because their heart and lungs are so wonderful that their skeleton is always the limiting factor.
In the last 6 Triple Crown races, 2 horses have been fatally injured. And outside the spotlight of the big events, hundreds of thoroughbreds die each year from racing injuries. Although without a single governing body, there is no official data. Some argue the only way to protect these horses is to simply stop racing them. Others favor reforms that might reduce, though not eliminate, the danger.
We do many things right now to make sure that they're safe every day when they go out on the track. There's more that we can do. We owe it to 8 Bells, and we're going to find out what those things are, and we're going to do them.
One place to start, drugs. With rare exceptions, in American horse racing, anabolic steroid use is legal during training, though not in the days immediately leading up to races. While a variety of drugs and medications are permitted, painkillers present an acute danger. They can mask injuries and lead horses to push themselves past what they're naturally capable of. There's also the issue of racing surface. A growing number of tracks now have synthetic surfaces, and many observers believe the softer and more forgiving ground is safer. But the biggest and most taxing races, the Triple Crown, as well as many other big events, remain on the dirt. Breeding practices have changed as well. Massive money is at stake for owners and trainers who work with 2- and 3-year-olds. A strong performance in a Triple Crown race can lead to millions in stud fees. So the emphasis in breeding and training is on speed and early development, a combination that can put the horse in additional danger.
Breeders are breeding to sell. There's such an incentive. There's so much more money to be made by retiring a horse, getting them to mate $400,000, $500,000 per mating, that owners are buying horses with fashionable pedigrees who may in fact look the part and may have the family parentage, but they may not actually be solid racers.
Without a national governing body, independent state commissions share power, so meaningful change is likely to be slow. And a concerted movement for reform has not yet materialized, even as the next Barbaro or 8 Bells could be coming around the next turn. Last evening here at Pimlico, we convened a panel to talk about the issues facing thoroughbred racing. We'll have that conversation when we come back.
How can you compare thoroughbred horse racing to deaf sports, bullfighting? You compared us to greyhound racing. I won't even go there. That's not even good comparison.
Tell me why. Tell me why it's not. You tell me why it's not.
We're breeding to kill? Are we breeding to kill?
This
no.
industry, Gary, is dangerously close. It's in that...
Play the Preakness Stakes Lucky You game. You could win $10,000 in a 2009 VIP trip. Use your cell phone to vote for who you think will win. Text A for Big Brown, B for Gallego, C for Kentucky Bear, or D to pick the field. Send your choice to 51515. Standard rates apply. Or you can go online to NBCSports.com. Increase your chances of winning by playing up to 10 times.
Welcome back to Pimlico and the Preakness Stakes. As we mentioned earlier, Bob Costas convened a discussion last night about racing's safety issues raised by the death of 8 Bells. It was sometimes a heated discussion. Here's Bob.
All right, here now to discuss the state of horse racing are Dr. Larry Bramlage, the on-call veterinarian for the American Association of Equine Practitioners, Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens, who is now an NBC commentator, Larry Jones, the trainer of 8 Bells, and William Roden of the New York Times, who has been critical of the horse racing industry. First of all, let's discuss the 8 Bells situation. The post-mortem exam indicated no pre-existing conditions. Was there anything, in retrospect, that could have been done that would have changed 8 Bells' fate?
In my opinion, no. She was perfect up until those last 3 strides where she sustained the injury. We couldn't see anything on the tape that indicated, and the post-mortem exam confirmed that.
Was there anything, Gary, to criticize about the approach of Gabriel Saez, the jockey?
Absolutely not. This kid did everything right, and I can only put it into layman's terms. If you're driving down the freeway 80 miles an hour in your car, you feel a shimmy, and you blow a tire, you're going to stop. You're not going to put yourself in jeopardy, and that's a jockey's job. He did everything perfect.
Was there excessive use of the whip?
Absolutely not. The whip was being used as a tool. If he wouldn't have been doing what he was doing, he would have been criticized if nothing had happened in the race. So, no.
Larry, we don't have the drug portion of the post-mortem exam back yet, but you have stated flatly that there was no steroid use involved with 8 Bells.
None whatsoever. I mean, that horse had been in my care for exactly 51 weeks at this time, because I got her the week after the Derby the year before. And in the time that I had her, and no reason to think she'd ever had steroids before, but guaranteed nothing.
What about painkillers that might have masked a problem?
Nothing at all. I mean, the most that she had the phenylbutazolidine the day before, but that's over 24 hours out. It was given 27 hours before the race. That's like taking 2 aspirins before you think you may sprain an ankle tomorrow. It doesn't cover at that level anything. Now great levels could, but not at the level she was given.
Bill Roden, is it possible that no matter what reforms might be in place going forward, that what happened with 8 bells could have happened under any circumstance, and really the examination here should be of the issues that this brings up, rather than to question what happened with 8 bells?
Yeah, and I think that's very well said, because, you know, one of my issues is that every industry, our industry, any industry, has to at some point re-examine itself. And most industries have a hard time in examining themselves. And I think racing is particularly difficult because it's such a multi-headed animal. This industry, more than many, has really never thoroughly examined itself. And I think that it really has to do that.
Is breeding a larger problem than any of the others, which we'll talk about shortly, but does it really begin with breeding?
Well, I think in my situation, I think a lot of these horses have been inbred to superior ancestors, and maybe on second basis, durability maybe was put on a back burner to get that precocious speed, to get the good size on horses that can meet at classic distances and do.
I think that the problem is that you're breeding almost for sale now, more so than for sport. You know, and I think whenever you bring in wholesale commercialism and capitalism into anything, the ultimate loser, in this case, I think, is the horse.
In 1960, the average U.S. racehorse had a little more than 11 starts. In 2007, a little more than 6. Affirm, the last Triple Crown winner, had 20 races before the age of 4. If Big Brown wins the Triple Crown, he might very well go to stud after just 6 races. And that fragility, the experts say, is being sent forward to their progeny. Is that fair?
I agree 100% there. North America is the only country in the United States that has, or in the world, that has major racing that horses are allowed to race on medication. I say we stop a lot of the problems by zero tolerance medication. Every state has their own rules on medication, what's allowable, what's not allowable. Right. We need somebody, a commissioner, to oversee, umbrella our whole sport and stand up and at least take responsibility and have an iron fist and rule it.
I agree wholeheartedly. I would love for every state to have the same medication rules. Makes it my job much easier.
For example, Pennsylvania and Delaware have outlawed steroids.
And I raced right in both states. And I raced in Iowa, which was one of the first states to ever outlaw steroids. And I agree, steroids, in my opinion, are not good for horses. I think it's been proven.
Before we rattle off some possible specific reforms, very often people involved in horse racing will put on a horse human emotions and thoughts. The horse wanted to run. The horse was having the time of his or her life. We know that if an athlete chooses to box or be an auto racer or a football player, dangerous sports, they make that choice. Isn't it fair to ask the question whether these horses would really do this if given a choice, if they were capable of making a choice?
Well, you know, it's funny, you look at bullfighting. Bulls are bred, the best bulls are bred to keep coming back. They're bred to die the kind of death that the fans want to see. They want to see the bull keep coming back. They don't want to see.
But by definition, a bullfight ends in the bull's death.
Yeah, but what I'm saying,
that doesn't happen by definition here.
But listen, let me. The point here, you can breed any animal to do anything, and that's different from any other thing, any human sport that we cover. There's this element of
all right,
of
response.
How can you compare thoroughbred horse racing to death sports, bullfighting? You compared us to greyhound racing. I won't even go there. That's not even good.
Tell me why. Tell me why it's not. You tell me why it's not.
We're breeding to kill. Are we breeding to kill?
This industry, Gary, is dangerously close. It's in that cathedral. It's dangerously close to being in that. Well, you know what? That's based on everything I'm seeing in terms of the overwhelming response of people.
Dr. Bramlage.
I'm going to step in and say here that the horse has not purposely been bred to do the things that fighting bulls or fighting dogs do. These horses are bred to run, and I do believe we've drifted away from the value as far as strength and stamina inadvertently because all of society has gone to the big event now, the 65 teams in the NCAA, the playoffs at the end of the season. Regular season doesn't mean as much. Horse racing is no different, and so we've inadvertently awarded the huge performance with early return to the breeding farms.
All right, let's rattle off a few issues here. Should fillies go up against colts?
It doesn't make any difference. The fillies don't load in the gate when they're running against a bunch of fillies and say, I don't have to run as hard. Didn't make any difference to her when she was racing.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I rode a great filly to a Kentucky Derby victory in winning colors. In Europe, it's done all the time. Fillies compete at the highest level against the highest level of colts and geldings. He ran a filly that was very, very capable. She showed that she belonged with the boys, so it's done all the time. I have no problem.
And there is nothing any stronger, especially watching mares and stallions, everything on the farm, that is stronger than the alpha female. She will rule, and whether the stallion wants to agree or not, she will rule a stallion if she is the alpha mare. So, yes, I definitely did not have any issue at all about running her in, and that's not why she broke down.
Should the rules be changed so that horses cannot be raced competitively until they are 3 instead of at age 2, and therefore move the Triple Crown qualification back to 4-year-olds instead of 3-year-olds?
You know, now, again, to me, now, and I guess we'll have this debate, that seems to make sense. It just seems to make sense. It doesn't seem to make dollars and cents. It doesn't seem to make financial sense to start racing at 3 or 4 rather than 2, because what do we do for age 1, 2, and 3? Where's my investment? If that's the only reason to not race a horse older, that's a bad reason. That's an awful reason.
It makes no medical sense. The data shows that horses that race at 2 race longer, more successfully with fewer injuries, and it only makes sense as far as the development of the skeleton. You have to pick up that bone formation mechanism at the end of growth and convert it to making an athlete. If you let it wither away, you have a much harder time in making that 3-year-old sounder. It would go the wrong way. All the medical data shows that racing and training at 2 would be like telling high school athletes that they can't perform in their sport until they get to college.
But you wouldn't put a high school athlete with the Green Bay Packers. You wouldn't put a 13-year-old kid with the Minnesota Vikings.
We're not racing 2-year-olds against 5-year-olds either. They have their own age restrictions. All of these horses in the Derby were all 3 years old.
The competition may be equal, but some people say, especially given the general fragility of the breed now as compared to the past, that we're rushing them into grueling competition too soon. Is there any validity to that observation?
The data shows the opposite. We're down around about 1/3 of 2-year-olds start in races now. People are more careful with them now than they ever have been. And so we're not rushing. We're going the other way. We're much more protective than we used to be. And the horses that train early on have longer careers and have fewer injuries.
The best numbers that we can come up with indicate that there are 1.65 fatalities per 1,000 starts in the United States. If all the surfaces were synthetic or grass rather than dirt, how much would we lower those fatalities out of every 1,000 starts?
I don't think that data is out yet. I mean, I can remember in other sports where they went to the artificial surfaces and now they've gone back to natural grass. They found out that was better. You're going to have different kind of injuries as far as I'm concerned. And it's just too lack of data right now to tell everybody, let's all go to synthetic horses. I think it's a good thing, and I love training on them. But I don't think everybody should just jump on the bandwagon just yet.
Bill?
Yeah, it's a bandwagon. But, you know, I guess the dilemma that we've got in these sports where you're talking about football, the essence of the sport, the essence of football, it's a hard sport. I don't care if it changes surface. The essence of racing, thoroughbred racing at this level, it's a tough sport. It's a hard sport.
Is it fair to say that even if this were approached in the most humane way possible, even if every reform that's been suggested was effectively put into place, there is a level of risk here, as Bob Ford put it recently in the Philadelphia Inquirer, a single misstep. You just glance off the hoof of the horse in front of you. Even if everything is done right, there is still going to be serious injuries, some of them fatal. Fair?
Very fair. I mean, you take a certain amount of risk getting out of bed every morning and just trying to drive to work, and this is no issue, any different issue. And I've walked across a perfectly level floor and twisted an ankle. The horse isn't so lucky. They twist an ankle as heavy as they are, they're going to break something. It's just a part of life. When you get up in the morning, you're facing certain risk. And if you don't get up in the morning, you wind up being on Dr. Phil because you weigh 700 pounds and you assume those risks of not getting out of bed. That's part of life.
Bill, last thing. There are some people watching this, certainly not a majority, but some people watching this who would say that for all the glory and history of the sport and all the good intentions, even if everything is done right, horse racing in 2008 is a form of animal abuse. By posing that question, I'm not stating an opinion, but you know there are people out there who feel that way. Is there any justification for that feeling?
Maybe a little. I mean, you know, when you say abuse, anything could be abused. I don't think. Again, you know, I come to the Preakness a lot. I don't cover horse racing all the time, but the people I do know who are in the business are not about abusing the animals. But I do think that we're at a point in this business that if it's not regulated, if we don't pay attention to the breeding, we don't pay attention to the drugs, I think that we can segue into a point where it is abused. And I think the perception of the public is that this is an unsafe sport that is doing harm to horses. People are going to be watching races hoping, oh my God, I hope nobody breaks it. How are we going to change that perception? I think is a challenge of the industry.
Gentlemen, we certainly didn't solve everything, but a lively conversation. Thanks to you all. All right, we're joined live now by Alex Waltrip, who is the president of the National Thoroughbred Racing Association. You saw the panel discussion. Despite the title of your organization, there is no true governing central body. So how realistic is it to expect quick and effective reform?
Bob, what the public needs to know is that this industry cares for its horses. We care not just on big days like today, but we care every day. We've been working on safety for several years now. We've got a new safety committee. When those recommendations come out, it will be the NTRA's job to pull all of its member organizations, tracks, horsemen, breeders, owners, trainers from all over the country behind a real change, because we know that in the final analysis, we've got to stop talking, we've got to take real action. And that's what the NTRA will do, is to lead in that action.
You've called for across-the-board abolition of steroid use by January 1st in every state. Will that happen?
I think we'll make real progress toward that. It may well happen. There are always some states that don't participate for whatever reason, but I will tell you that all major racing states are already making plans to implement that ban. We just met with a group of laboratory technicians in California. We're already training for testing. It will be a reality by the first of next year, yes.
For the sake of context, Rick Dutrow, Big Brown's trainer, and he's certainly not alone in this regard, says he injects all of his horses once a month with Winstrol, which is a powerful steroid banned in all human sports, but legal in most jurisdictions in horse racing.
Not next year. I won't be able to do it.
What about racing surfaces, synthetic versus dirt?
Well, what we're trying to determine is what is a safe surface, whether it's synthetic or dirt. We're actually bringing engineers into the picture to tell us what kind of surface, what kind of maintenance practices make for the safest track, regardless of the type of track. The jury's still out on which is the safest, but we know that we have to have a safe track regardless of the surface.
If it's determined that synthetic is demonstrably safer, will there be a movement away from dirt?
I think so, yes.
All right. When it comes to breeding, any reform is going to take time because the next group of Kentucky Derby horses for 2011, let's say, will be born this year. For 2012, they're being bred now. But eventually, if the market demands precocious speed over robustness and sturdiness, if that's what the market rewards, how are you going to turn that around and move it back toward past generations when horses were less fragile?
Bob, there's a lot of talk about breeding and fragility. I think that we've rushed to judgment on this issue. The safety committee is going to take a long, hard look with real science, with people who understand these issues, and we're going to look at what is the health of the breed, in fact. And once that's determined, we'll take the appropriate action. But we have to wait and see just exactly what this issue is relative to the health of the breed, because I'm not willing to concede that we don't have a healthy breed.
Alex, thanks very much.
Thank you, sir.
Tom, the conversation goes on.
All right, Bob, and encouraging words there from Alex, and it seems to me that it's incumbent on the thoroughbred racing and breeding industry to take immediate steps to improve safety. You know, breeding sounder horses, as Alex said, will take time, of course, but that issue is intertwined with the medication issue. If there is a uniform national drug policy with little or no medication allowed, then fewer unsound horses will be able to race and ultimately to pass on their infirmities to their offspring. And synthetic surfaces should be immediately studied further, and if, in fact, they are safer with regards to catastrophic breakdowns, then racing should go to synthetic tracks. The trainers, the bettors, and everyone else can just adjust. The safety of the horse should be paramount, and if this sport is going to remain viable, that will have to happen. And, of course, if racing does become safer overall, then 8 bells will not have died in vain. Let's take a look at the current odds now for the Preakness Stakes, the 133rd running. And Macho again, a long shot on the rail. Trace Baracho said 40. You see long shots, the scratch of behind at the bar. Down to Big Brown, who remains at 1-5. Kentucky Bear is now at 14-1. And Gallego is 9-1 in the current betting for the Preakness. And when we come back to Pimlico, we'll turn our attention to the Preakness Stakes, where Derby winner Big Brown is the star of the show.
Welcome to the Lincoln Financial NBC Sports Report. Here's your host, Bill Patrick.
Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore, the second leg of horse racing's Triple Crown, the 133rd running of the Preakness Stakes, and the horse that everybody's talking about, Kentucky Derby winner Big Brown. We will get you back to Baltimore in just a moment, but first some other sports news, starting with hockey right here in Detroit. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals between the Dallas Stars and the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit up 3-1, but it's Dallas taking over in the first period. Trevor Daley, the defenseman, scores his first goal, his first point of the playoffs, 1-0 Dallas. That lights a fire under the Red Wings on the power play. Yuri Hudler beating Marty Turco. We are tied at 1 through the first period. On to the second. Joel Lundqvist, the assist to Turco, and the Stars lead it 2-1, and they would hang on to win by that 2-1 count. Marty Turco's first ever win in Detroit, and with that, the Stars force a Game 6 Monday night in Dallas. A reminder, our playoff coverage will shift to Pittsburgh tomorrow. The Penguins looking to eliminate the Flyers and move on to the Stanley Cup Finals. Airtime 3 p.m. Eastern. Meanwhile, in baseball, this weekend marks the start of interleague play at Yankee Stadium. The Mets and Yankees were rained out last night. A good pitching matchup today. Johan Santana against Andy Pettitte. Pick it up top of the 7th. Mets up 3-2. Jose Reyes gives the Mets some breathing room, gulping this Kyle Farnsworth pitch down the right field line. It's a solo shot, 4-2 Mets. 2 batters later, David Wright also goes to right. A 2-run shot, his 8th of the season, that breaks it open. The Mets go on to win it 7-4. The Yankees have now lost 7 out of 10. Santana went 7 2/3 for the win. The Bronx Bombers alone in last place in the AL East. And one other final at Wrigley Field. The Pirates outslugged the Cubs 7-6. 2 more homers for Alfonso Soriano. He has 10 on the season, 7 of them in the last week. And that is all from Detroit. Let us return to Pimlico and more of our coverage of the 133rd Preakness Stakes.
This has been the Lincoln Financial NBC Sports Report.
The third Saturday in May at Baltimore's Pimlico Racecourse, where in today's Preakness Stakes, Big Brown is an overwhelming favorite to move within a step of the Triple Crown. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. 2 weeks ago at Churchill Downs, Big Brown pretty much ran away with it. Only one horse who went against him that day returns to challenge him today at the Preakness. That would be Gallego, who ran 17th in the Derby. Today, there are 10 new shooters in the field, none of them at odds any shorter than 14-1. Meanwhile, Big Brown is at 1-5 as a sense of inevitability begins to surround him.
Anybody that's in this game would always want to win the Kentucky Derby. No matter who you are, what you say, you want to win that race.
10 years ago, Rick Dutrow was far away from the dream of winning the Kentucky Derby. Instead, He was living a nightmare, homeless, sleeping in an 8x8 stall, struggling simply to survive.
I would do something wrong to get drug money or do something wrong to get gambling money, then I'd go blow the money, and it would be it. I didn't hurt anybody, I just hurt myself.
8 years ago, following his second Kentucky Derby win, Kent DeSormo should have been atop the horse racing world. Instead, he found himself struggling just to get work and facing questions about his attitude and commitment.
Winning this third Kentucky Derby was... Yes, see, I can still do this.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Big Brown exploded. He just hit the afterburners, turbocharged, call it what you want. He took flight.
And there goes Big Brown. He's catapulting past horses.
I knew we were going to win the Kentucky Derby, and I just kept saying it. I knew they weren't going to catch him.
And it's going to be Big Brown bounding home to a convincing win. There you go, kid.
Even though we won the Derby, man, we want the Preakness and the Belmont. We're chasing something. We want something more.
Today at Pimlico, the story continues for trainer, jockey, and a 3-year-old colt. In pursuit of history, racing to earn a chance at the first Triple Crown in 30 years. Now, the second test. Here at the 133rd Preakness Stakes.
Well, we mentioned a moment ago that a sense of inevitability has begun to surround Big Brown, but truly in sports, and perhaps particularly in horse racing, nothing is actually inevitable. Here's just one example. In 2000, Fusaichi Pegasus was impressive in the Derby. Came here to the Preakness every bit as much of a prohibitive favorite as Big Brown is today, and finished second, and the Triple Crown dream went right down the drain, finished second to Red Bullet. Who was the jockey aboard Fusaichi Pegasus? Kent DeSormo, who rode Big Brown on the Derby, and of course today will ride Big Brown at the Preakness. Our coverage is led by Tom Hammond and Gary Stevens. Tom?
All right, Bob, and of course anything can happen in horse racing, as you pointed out, but apparently the other Derby horses think Big Brown is the real deal, since only one of them has come here to try him again. But there are some new connections who remain unconvinced, or at least they think that Big Brown can't put together back-to-back dominating efforts with only 2 weeks between races. We saw the best and worst of racing at the Derby, and of course in many ways the performance of Big Brown was secondary to the tragic mishap suffered by 8 Bells, and we hope you were able to join us earlier today for that discussion of the issues her fatality has raised. The Preakness, of course, is the second jewel of racing's Triple Crown. It carries a purse of $1 million. The distance is 1 mile and 3/16. That's a 1/16 of a mile shorter than the Kentucky Derby. It's for 3-year-olds who will carry 126 pounds. Heavy rain yesterday. The track was very sloppy, but sun to start the day today, and the track dried out. It's clouded up a bit now, mostly cloudy skies, 72 degrees, and the track is fast. When betting opened yesterday, Big Brown was the morning line favorite, but they bet him down now to 1-5 as you see the odds. All long odds on everybody else. Kentucky Bear, one of the new shooters, is 14-1. That's the third choice in the betting. And Gallego, the only horse to come from the Derby to Pimlico, is at 9-1. And joined now by Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens, who won the Preakness a couple of times and now is an advisor to IEAH, the owners of Big Brown. And Gary, before the Kentucky Derby, so much was made of the number 20 post position. Only one other horse in the 20s had won from that spot. But it looked to me like for Rick Dutrow, for Kent DeSormo especially, they thought they had the best horse. Just park him outside, let him run wide the whole way to keep him out of trouble. But a different story for him today.
Yeah, it is a different story for him today. He did break from that 20 post position in the Kentucky Derby. Overcame a lot to do that. A lot of people said he couldn't do it. Faced with a new challenge today, breaking from the middle. Gets away here in the Kentucky Derby very, very smoothly to put him on his trip to the perfect trip in the Kentucky Derby. Kent DeSormo just getting him in a beautiful, relaxed rhythm right here, peeking over his shoulder, analyzing what's going on. Now, you look at Pyro. This is where Big Brown is drawn today. You snooze, you lose in the Kentucky Derby. The same thing in the Preakness. If this happens, he's going to have to adapt chase some new hurdles. They're at the half-mile pole right here, a half-mile from the finish. Kent DeSormo just coasting right here, starting to get him wound up, starting to put him into the race as they approach the 3/8 pole. Closes in on the leaders right now within a half a length of the lead. Gives him a little bit of a breather right here, not asking him for his best, letting his lungs fill up with air. You heard Kent DeSormo say he felt like he had rocket boosters on. This is why. Watch the separation you see right here in a matter of 3 strides. This is what makes this horse special right here as he leaves the field in the Kentucky Derby, Tom.
And just behind him there, you see the ill-fated 8 Bells, who would so courageously finish second in the Kentucky Derby before breaking down as she pulled up and euthanized after that. Well, okay, in the number 7 post position today, right in the middle of the pack instead of on the outside. New tactics for Kent DeSormo?
I don't think new tactics. Rick Dutrow took him out this morning, breezed him a little bit just to sharpen him up. He hasn't been able to do a lot with him since the Kentucky Derby. I think that's to make sure that he's alert, on his toes to get a good break. So you can bet that's what Kent DeSormo's thinking about right now is the start.
Here at Pimlico, all the horses are concentrated in one barn, the Stakes barn. That's the back of the grandstand here at Pimlico. And as you pan over, you see the Stakes barn where all the Preakness horses are stabled. Rick Dutrow admits that bringing a horse back in a couple of weeks is a new concept for him, and as Gary said, hasn't trained him very hard. But as regards the colt Big Brown, some breaking news, and Bob Newmeyer has that.
Well, that's right, Tom. It's a story that's been talked about for weeks now, rumor, but now it is a fact, and that is a stallion syndication rights deal between the owners of Big Brown and Three Chimneys Farm in Kentucky for a reported over $50 million. Which brings us to today. As far as I can see, the big problem that Big Brown will have today is the turnaround. 2 weeks' time between the Derby and the Preakness. Rick Dutrow hates it. So what has he done? Well, he's treated the horse with kid gloves. A mini workout this morning, light jogs throughout the week. Well, as the late, great trainer Horatio Laura once said about running any horse or training him hard, you have to be careful not to squeeze the lemon too dry. Well, Dutrow's hoping today that he has a succulent lemon with plenty of juice left in it. Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
All right, thanks, Bob. And, you know, as impressive as Big Brown was winning the Kentucky Derby, Bob alluded to it, Tom alluded to it earlier on, that there is the possibility that he could bounce. And he really didn't scare any of the opposition away. We got 11 horses that are going up against him. And to the man, every trainer that I talked to said, yeah, I think the horse could bounce. Reed Baker, the trainer of Kentucky Berry, said, I think the horse will bounce. And if he does bounce, you know, I think my horse can move forward. And maybe we've got a shot of beating him. So he's getting the respect, but these guys aren't afraid of Big Brown. And it's part of what makes the Triple Crown so great. He did it 2 weeks ago. He's got to go out today and do it again. Let's go to Kenny Rice.
Well, Mike, as you say, you got to stay optimistic in this business. And just a couple of years ago, 2 brothers and their best friend could not sell a horse, but they still saw the glasses half full. They said, let's keep him. Maybe he'll earn enough money, some beer drinking money for us. To wit, we will name him Tres Borrachos, 3 drunks. Well, here's a sobering thought. Tres Borrachos has been better than anyone expected. He has won enough money to buy 7,960 cases of beer if they want. And trainer and co-owner Bo Greeley tells me of his speedy horse today that he does have a champagne chaser on ice in case the 40-to-1 shot comes in. Let's go to Donna Brothers.
Well, Mike, you're back to take another shot at him with Gallego and the Preakness. Had a little bit of a tough trip in the Kentucky Derby. Do you want to talk to me about that trip? I think we've got to reel with some highlights and lowlights of that trip.
That's to say the least. Yeah, just never got an opportunity, Donna, to run. As you see, I got away slow, went over to his left lead, back to his right. Running just a little green right now. And now he's getting bumped. And now he's getting aggressive, and I'm having to tap on the brakes, and every time I do, he as you'll see here in a second, he throws his head up in the air because I'm literally on heels. Once a horse does that, you know, you take away their breathing, you take away their rhythm, and just never got a shot after that. And at this point, I'm finally clear of everything, but as I told you earlier, I've taken away, you know, his rhythm. Now he's having to, you know, get back into it and try and keep up a horse like Big Brown. It's, you know, it's hard to do. You can't fumble and, you know, expect to catch back up. At this point, I don't believe we have any shot. I'm just saving him for next time. You know, I mean, there's no use in even going on with it. hopefully he comes out of this race fine is what I'm thinking, and we can go on to the Preakness.
Well, next time's today, and the trainer, Paulo Lobo, has added blinkers. Talk to me about the addition of blinkers for this race.
It's something that we've thought that he needed all along, to tell you the truth, but he's running so well that we didn't put him on. But he's the kind of colt, as you saw there, leaving the gate. You know, he didn't take me right away. He kind of got to looking at the crowd, and then all of a sudden he does take you, and then all of a sudden he'll let you go, then he takes you. So we always thought the blinkers would make him focus, and they're kind of a semi-cup, which means they're not really a full blinker or nothing. It's just enough just to make him focus, where he keeps his eye off me and focuses more, and hopefully it'll do the trick.
Speaking of focusing, is Big Brown the main horse you focus on in here, or are there other horses you're really concerned about?
Well, I mean, he's going to be the main focus because of what he's done. But you know, there's 12 others in here that are very talented, and it's you know, once you're out there, it's who's ever moving well. You know, you just kind of feed off of that, and how well you're actually moving, to tell you the truth. So I got to worry about all of them.
Good luck to you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, Tom.
All right, Donna, and this is only the 6th time since 1923 that as few as 2 have come from the Derby to the Preakness, but there is no shortage of challengers and their stories. Big Brown may be the favorite, but in horse racing, there's never a sure thing. Challenging is Kentucky Bear, the least experienced horse in the field, with a trainer making his Preakness debut. Together, they're looking for a little beginner's luck.
Everybody's a long shot, but that's why we have racing. Long shots win all the time.
Or will it be the seasoned vet Nick Zito? He's made the trip to Pimlico 18 times before, winning once in '96. Will he answer the call this year with Stevel?
The attention is on Big Brown. On paper, he's unbeatable, but they don't run on paper.
Could it be Hayburn? It's taken almost 4 decades for owner Bea Oxenberg to get to a Triple Crown race. Hayburn is named after her late husband, Bernie, and yesterday was Bea's 87th birthday. There's only one gift she wants this year.
If Hayburn wins, I'll faint. It would be the best birthday present in the world.
It's a clean slate. Who will make their mark today?
The 133rd Preakness Stakes, brought to you by ADT, America's #1 security provider. By your local authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer. And by Avodart.
Snoopy One is providing dramatic views of the 2008 Preakness Stakes. The MetLife Blimp provides coverage of major sporting events, while MetLife provides you with coverage for life. See if there's any change in the betting for the Preakness Stakes. Big Brown continues to rule at 1-5. Kentucky Bear still 14-1. And Gallego still a 9-1 shot. Well, one of the best stories at the Kentucky Derby was Big Brown's jockey, Kent DeSormo, who's back at the top of his game. The Derby win was especially meaningful because it was the first witnessed by his youngest son, Jacob, who was able to hear only with cochlear implants, and now his sight is fading. He joined Kent's wife, Sonia, and his older brother, Joshua, in the Churchill Downs box. And a short time ago, Kent talked with Bob Costas.
Kent, you've ridden the Derby winner 3 times, but 2 weeks ago was special because it's the first one that your son Jacob witnessed.
Yeah, you know, that was truly exciting for me to have them there. I mean, he was just whooping it up in the winner's circle, high-fiving me, and, you know, it was a greatest family affair we could ask for.
Now let's shift to today's race, but first go back to set it. You won the Preakness with Real Quiet 10 years ago. On the other hand, you came here in 2000 with Fusaichi Pegasus, who was as prohibitive a favorite then as Big Brown is today, and you ran second to Red Bullet. You know for sure that nothing is guaranteed.
You know what? That's what makes this so exciting. The Preakness today is the fact that this colt, though I think so highly of him, he still has to answer the questions. I mean, is he as resilient as Jacob? I don't know. You know, he's going to have to come in 2 weeks and put up the good fight again.
Is this the best horse you've ever ridden?
By far, the best horse I've ever ridden, and I think the thing that sets him apart is his mind. He is just so intelligent. You know, the balance, the scope, the talent, he's got all of that. That's all there. You're going to see him run fast, but you should, for my peers, if they, you know, it's like riding the pony at the barn. He just rides right off my fingertip. So, lovely ride, beautiful horse. Can't wait to find out my destiny.
You won the Derby from the number 20 post position. Now, with behind the bar having been scratched, you slide from 7 to 6, an inside position. Could we see Big Brown on the lead early?
You could. I tell you what, that's the best thing about riding for Mr. Dutrow. He says, you know how to drive him, huh, babe? Yep, good luck. Okay, so here I am. The doors are going to open. We're going to go 50 yards. I'm going to feel it, see what it feels like. Are we going too slow? Are we going too fast? Do I take a pull? Do I let him out? So excited. Can't wait to find out what I have to do.
Now, this horse has been lightly raced, only 3 starts coming into the Derby. Now, his second start in 2 weeks, and potentially 3 starts in 5 weeks with the Belmont. Are you concerned about that?
Absolutely. Those are some major hurdles. Only 11 in the horse racing world have ever done it. Can he do it? Yeah, I think he can. I think he's resilient enough. But that's why we're here. They still got to open those doors and turn us loose. Let's find out if I get there first.
What's your biggest concern? Everybody's saying it's his race to lose, by extension, your race to lose. What's your biggest concern?
I think looking at it statistically, you know, once I've tried to strategize the race, if I don't make the lead, then I've got to worry about whether a horse like Riley Tucker is going to hem me in, or is Gallego going to position himself for just that job, or are they going to test me and see if and try to force me to take him back or stick him up somebody's rear end and see if he can handle all that stuff. Those are the things that I'm worried about.
All right, between now and post time, try to get excited for the race, will you?
Okay.
Get this arm up, Tom.
All right, Bob, he's loving the moment, isn't he, Gary? And, you know, some of the horsemen brought their horses here because they thought that Big Brown would bounce, as Mike Battaglia said. Of course, that's a term, a racing term, which means regress off a super effort, correct?
Off of a lifetime best effort, and that's what Rick Dutrow is worried about himself. Normally, when a horse runs that lifetime best, they need time to recover from it. He ideally likes 5 weeks. This is him, first horse on the racetrack this morning, basically an open gallop. They call this a blowout. Goes 25-4 for 2 furlongs. That's a quarter of a mile. Just stretching the legs here, opening the lungs up a little bit, taking the edge off for this afternoon.
I think a lot of the camp of Rick Dutrow and Big Brown think that he could bounce, regress, and still win the Preakness. That's what they're hoping for today. It is the 133rd running of the Preakness, and Big Brown is the 1-5 favorite.
Hello, I'm Governor Martin O'Malley of the great state of Maryland. I want to welcome you to the 133rd running of the Preakness Stakes here at historic Pimlico Racecourse. You know, in Maryland, we consider ourselves an America in miniature, rich in tradition, rich in history, but also focused on the future. We hope you enjoy this great day, and we look forward to your coming to our state in the future. Thank you very much.
The Kentucky Derby is always a place where one can make a fashion statement, and this year was no different as we take a look at the Head & Shoulders Hat Parade with lots of styles on display. And thank you for logging on and casting your vote. Here's a look at the winning hat. You can see all the Head & Shoulders Hat Parade finalists at NBCSports.com. Take another look at the odds. 35-1 on Macho again. Trace Barachos at 40. Ichabod Crane 20, 22 on Yankee Bravo. Behind at the bar, scratched of course. Race Car Rhapsody 22, 1-5 still on Big Brown. Kentucky Bears gone down 1 to 13. Stevel at 35, Riley Tucker, Giant Moon, Gallego still the second choice 9-1, and Hayburn at 30-1. Well, Big Brown's trainer Rick Dutrow learned the training game from his late father. It's in his blood, and he has had success. In fact, he trained Horse of the Year St. Liam. It's away from the track that the monsters in his psyche emerge.
It's going to be Big Brown bounding home.
When we leave, I'll just leave it here. Yeah, if somebody wants it, they can have it. I've been in trouble with drugs, gambling, caught with cocaine in my car. I was doing Quaaludes, just got all wiped out. I've been lucky to stay out of jail, actually. Here you go. Just walk up, head him right here like this. I'm always screwing stuff up.
He's a big horse, huh?
They gave me suspensions for you can't even dream about.
We really want to see you do this, man. Thanks. So good luck.
Thanks.
I'll see you in Baltimore.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Dutrow.
Sure. Call me Rick.
Okay.
I keep things plain and simple for my life. I'm not one of those guys that can go out there and figure something out with my brain. You just put a horse or two in front of me. Yeah, Rick's okay. Leave Rick alone. Let him go train them, and then I'll be fine. When I'm at the stables, it's where I belong. Whenever I leave that area is when I get myself in trouble.
A decade ago, far from the safety of the stables, trouble found Rick Dutrow. The mother of his only child was killed in a drug-related murder.
Inside 1128 Rugby Road, the body of a woman victim. Also in the house during the attack was a 15-month-old girl. She was not injured.
It was a very upsetting time for our whole entire family. She was my mother, and I lost her.
When Molly's mom got killed, and I didn't have any horses at the time, I forced myself into staying into the tack room at the track. That was my lowest point. I would do something wrong to get drug money or do something wrong to get gambling money, then I'd go blow the money, and it would be it. All that stuff was a long, long time ago. I look back on it and just can't believe my mindset at that time compared to where I am right now.
Right now, Rick Dutrow is back where he belongs, at the stables, surrounded by people who believe in him, with a horse that is reshaping his story.
We're just hoping that we win the Preakness and the Belmont, and then we're a Triple Crown winner.
This is what I was born to do, is to train a horse, and when you get to do it with this kind of horse for the kind of races he's heading towards and the kind of races he's already been in, it's the most incredible thing that a horseman could be involved with.
All right, we're joined now by Rick Dutrow. Tom Hammond just narrated a piece about the ups and downs of your life in an up situation now with the prohibitive favorite as we head toward the Preakness. As you look back on it, why do you think you were entrusted with this horse?
Probably because I'm a good horseman, and I've been training with the IEA boys, and they like me. We connect.
You're wearing your credential, which is nice of you to do, but I doubt that there is anybody here who, after what happened in the Derby, doesn't know who you are. How has your life changed already just in 2 weeks?
I don't know that it has. I'm still getting up early. Just got one horse I've been training lately, but actually I can't wait to get back in the swing of things. I've just been with him all the time, and I'm going to New York tomorrow, the next day, and I'll be back in the game.
It's typical that horses bounce in the Preakness. Kind of the consensus is, even if that happens with Big Brown, he's so much the better, it won't matter. How do you see it?
Well, as far as the bounce goes, I mean, we don't need to run the kind of race like we did last time. You know, he ran just a huge race. We don't really want to see that. We want to just get the job done the best way we can and still have something left for our horse in 3 weeks. He's got another big race after this one.
Different topic. You have acknowledged that each month you inject your horses with Winstrol, which is legal. Alex Waltrip of the NTRA told us earlier in the program that he intends to have it made illegal across the board by January 1st. How would you feel about that?
Oh, that's fine. I mean, whatever the guidelines would be, we're going to follow them. I wouldn't even know what Winstrol does with a horse. One of my vets talked me into it 5 or 6 years ago. I've been given each of them one shot on the 15th of every month. And I can't say that it helps. I know it doesn't hurt, but it's not an issue for our stable. If they take it away tomorrow, it's not going to bother us.
Last thing, before the Derby, you didn't sleep well. Your stomach was playing games with you. How about now?
There's signs of it, but I'm much better now.
Good luck today, Rick.
Thank you, babe.
All right. Tom Durkin has it from here. Tom?
You know, if you invested a lot of your money in real estate 2 or 3 years ago, or you just look at your retirement account and thought, I might have to work until I'm 97, you might consider doing what the folks at IEA Stable did and buy Big Brown. In September, he was purchased at Saratoga after that smashing first start for $3.5 million. Goes to Florida, wins the Florida Derby, and is now worth $30 million. Goes to Kentucky and wins, now worth $60 to $70 million. Tom Hammond, with an investment like that, we could be retired in 30 or 40 years.
And think how much grappa we could buy with that money, too. In fact, I know he has to get that whiteboard back to Tim Russert, but the mad scientist, Tom Durkin. And in fact, the IEH guys are going to do something innovative, starting a hedge fund for horses and hoping to raise $100 million later this year.
I'll tell you what, and they might have bit off more than they can chew, because Big Brown is going to be a tough act to follow. To find another horse anywhere close to him, that's going to be tough to do, Tom.
Well, do you think Big Brown will win the Preakness Stakes today? You had a chance to play along with our handicappers in the Preakness Stakes Lucky You game. You could win $10,000 plus a 2009 Preakness Stakes VIP trip. Go to NBCSports.com and vote for who you think will win this year's race. Or you can use your cell phone. Choose A for Big Brown, B for Gallego, C for Kentucky Bear, or D to pick the rest of the field. Send a text message of your choice, A, B, C, or D, to 51515. Standard rates apply. Increase your chances of winning by playing up to 10 times. And for everything on the 133rd running of the Preakness Stakes, log on to Preakness.com. There's no mistaking Preakness Day in Baltimore. It's a weekend party contested on Old Hilltop. There's something for everyone. The infield scene, believe me, it's crazier than the Derby, beginning with the shopping carts racing to get their cargoes of booze into the track. The more genteel patrons dine on Chesapeake Bay delights in the clubhouse. The Preakness horses are concentrated in one barn, with the Derby winner the focus of attention. Anxious trainers await the call to the post, while the jockeys try to calm the butterflies as the race approaches. The weather vane will be redecorated with the colors of the winning owner as all race for the historic Woodlawn Vase in the 133rd Preakness Stakes. Greg Norman, Tom Watson, some of senior golf's best, battle the Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York. It's the 69th Senior PGA Championship next Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern here on NBC. Big Brown still 1-5. That's the shortest price favorite since Fusaichi Pegasus was 3-10 back in 2000. He finished second, of course, and Spectacular Bid was 1-10 back in 1979. That's the stakes barn. Everybody gathering now as the horses will make their way from that stakes barn over to the paddock to be saddled. Everybody waiting for Big Brown, quite an entourage for the Derby winner, as we're about 37 minutes away from post time for the 133rd Preakness. The walkover has become quite the event, not only at the Derby, but here at the Preakness as well. So the horses are making their way out. Had a look at Kentucky Bear there. There's Kent DeSormo wearing the colors of the IEAH stable. And let's go to Donna Brothers.
Patty, this is a horse, Yankee Bravo, that you thought an awful lot of going into the Santa Anita Derby. He'd run third on the dirt track in the Louisiana Derby. You put blinkers on him for the Santa Anita Derby because he has a tendency to duck out a little bit when he gets flustered. Was it a disappointing fourth in the Santa Anita Derby, or were you happy with that race?
Well, it was slightly disappointing because his race in Louisiana was encouraging. He ran third on the dirt there, so that made us feel good about running in the Santa Anita Derby. And the thing about the blinker is in Louisiana, he kind of just ducked out the last part of the race, and Alex Solis thought it may have cost him second. So that's why we decided maybe to try that, put it on him.
So you still have the blinker on him again today. I know you didn't come here to try to run third or fourth again. What about his last couple of weeks that encouraged you to make this step with him?
Well, again, Alex has worked him since the Santa Anita Derby, and he's worked him, and he's still high on him, so that's we're coming here to do our best.
How do you see the pace scenario setting up?
Well, it looks like Big Brown, he's got speed and doesn't stop. But, yeah, there's one or two in there that might go with it, so it's kind of one of them things where I hope there's a bit of speed, but well, I'll just leave it up to Alex.
Good luck to you, Patty. Let's go to Tom.
All right, Donna, and meanwhile, the star of the show, fashionably late, Big Brown, that 1-5 favorite, beginning the walkover to be saddled for the Preakness. Kenny Rice.
All right, Tom, I'm with Dallas Stewart, who trains Macho again, who won a big race the week before the Kentucky Derby, the Derby Trial at Churchill Downs. Dallas, you're based there. So you've seen a lot of Big Brown as he trained up to the Kentucky Derby, and since then, yet you're still here to take him on.
Well, you know, he's a super horse, and but he's got to come with another super effort
You know, so we're here today, and I'm happy with my horse. I think he's a very nice colt. He's an improving colt, and glad to be here.
He comes out of the one. Does that change any strategy for you?
Not really. We got a very patient rider, and we're just going to have to hope everything goes well, have a good, clean trip, and be able to finish well.
All right, good luck.
Thanks, Al.
Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
All right, thanks. Here with Nick Zito, trainer of Stevel, in some tight quarters here, Nick. Nick, you know, everybody loves to root for the upset, and you pulled off one of the biggest upsets in Triple Crown history in 2004 with Birdstone beat Smarty Jones. You see any similarities between this scenario and that one?
Well, not yet, Mike, but if I get closer to Big Brown today, then maybe, but not yet.
You saddled two horses in the Derby. You had Cool Coleman and Anak Nakal. You elected not to run either of those back in the Derby and elected to go with Stevel. Why?
Well, I think Anak Nakal certainly fits the Belmont. He's by, victory gallop, and he ran 7th. He didn't run 17th. And Cool Coleman, I think, might develop later on. But right now, all the focus is on Big Brown, and rightfully so.
All right, he's the 1-5 favorite, Nick. Good luck trying to beat him. All right, let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, Mike, Jeremy Rose is aboard Ichabod Crane today. He also rode Ichabod Crane to victory in the top Preakness prep race. You had the number 3 post then, you have the number 3 post today. At this track, which is kind of your home track, you like an inside position.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit the draw. I was hoping, when our number came up, we'd get inside 1, 2, 3, 4, and we got lucky and got that, so we should have a nice trip.
You rode Big Brown in his first race. You know the horse. What has to happen to beat him today?
He's going to have to get boxed in and hope the dirt in his face that he can't handle it. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but I'd say that's the only hole we haven't tried yet.
So basically what you're saying is, barring something highly unusual, he deserves to be the prohibitive favorite.
Oh, absolutely. He stands over the group right now, and hopefully a couple horses get out in front of him and box him in and hope he doesn't take the dirt well.
You have a history here. You won in 2005 aboard a Fleet Alex who almost went down. Great work on your part to steady him and win the race.
Well, trust me, it's more Alex. Everybody wants to give me the credit, but Alex is the one that stayed on his feet. If he goes down, it really doesn't matter what I do. But, thankfully he saved my butt and kept racing going.
Good luck today, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Now, Tom, if you remember your high school literature, Washington Irving's Tales of Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane was the superstitious school teacher who wound up being chased through the woods on a terrifying night by a headless horseman. Let's hope that something not nearly that harrowing is in store for Jeremy Rose and Ichabod Crane today.
Well, Jeremy knows how to handle that adversity. You learned it on the Fleet Alex here at the Preakness. Ichabod Crane, interesting, his name is spelled I-C-A-B-A-D instead of B-O-D. I did a Google search on him one time, and it said, did you mean Ichabod, B-O-D? But even though it's got the A in there, it's pronounced Ichabod Crane. Meanwhile, Big Brown has all the attention as he comes across. We talked about how intelligent this horse is and how calm he is as he looks all around him, takes it all in, interested in everything, and nothing seems to bother him. Still the 1-5 favorite in the mile and 3/16 Preakness Stakes.
The 133rd Preakness Stakes, brought to you by your local authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer. By Charles Schwab, premium service. Expect it, don't pay for it. Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab. And by ADT, America's #1 security provider.
Here's a Preakness tradition, the official jockey's portrait with Kent DeSormo, the Big Brown rider, right front row center, as the 12 riders have their portrait made for posterity. And the odds update, Big Brown still at 1-5, hasn't varied from that since we have been on the air. Kentucky Bear at 13, and Gallego, that's down a notch now to 8-1. Time now for the Mercedes-Benz Preakness Stakes moments and some of the great upsets on Preakness Day. In 1975, after a length-and-a-half victory at the Derby, Foolish Pleasure had a tough time with the Derby fourth-place finisher, Master Derby. Foolish Pleasure's charge down the stretch wasn't enough, as Master Derby beat the field that day at 23-1. And in 2000, royally bred Fusaichi Pegasus squeezed out of the gate, losing ground early. And despite a late effort, it wasn't enough to catch Red Bullet. Red Bullet ridden to victory, and Kent DeSormo aboard the beaten favorite Fusaichi Pegasus, the shortest priced beaten favorite in Preakness history, 30 cents on the dollar, his wife Sonia, as they went down to defeat in 2000. Those are Mercedes-Benz Preakness moments. And a defeat at Big Brown today would be a huge upset, but not the first in this second jewel of the Triple Crown. 2 weeks ago, Bob Newmeyer picked Big Brown to win the Kentucky Derby. He's here again as the favorite now at 1-5. I wonder if Bob still likes him. Here are our handicappers, Mike and Bob.
Well, the money's already spent, as you might imagine. But are you on the finally on the bandwagon here with BB?
You talked me into it, Bob. How can you go against him in a race like this? I mean, I was trying to pick against him, but it was a futile attempt.
I mean, but 1-5. I mean, as the old saying goes, if you have the 5, why do you
don't need
the
the
1?
Exactly.
So we got to go exactas to get some people some money today.
I would think so too. And you know what? I think Race Car Rhapsody is sitting on a big race. I think he could run very well.
Not to win.
No, not to win. I'm not going against Big Brown. But I do think Race Car Rhapsody could be passing horses at the end. I think the pace will be legitimate in here. I think Trace Barachos will go from the inside. I think Gallego will go. And I think Race Car Rhapsody could really pick up the pieces. I also think Kentucky Bear is sitting on a big race. He's only had 3 races. He could be tough. And you like a couple of long shots, too.
Well, when 1-5, you're going to go deep into your bag of tricks.
Right.
And it's my old short-long exacta theory. Short horse on top, long shot underneath. Therefore, I go with Riley Tucker as my long shot under Big Brown, and why not? I mean, he's ridden by, I should say, Edgar Prater is riding him today. Bill Mott trains him. He had a sneaky good race at Keeneland. I mean, he's worth 40 to 1 underneath in an exacta. And Trace Barachos, who I think might make some pace in here. And once he gets passed by Big Brown, who knows? Maybe he has the guts to hold second. Plus, I love the name. I'm looking for $40 or $50 off a $4 play. You know, make Big Brown 10 to 1 in this race.
I think Trace Barachos are right behind us now, to be honest with you, Numi. 3 drunks, maybe more, because we're getting a lot of static from this crowd. They're giving us some tips, though.
Well, I know one thing. Betting against Big Brown today is like spitting into the wind.
There you go.
It's taken there by our handicappers as they pick Big Brown. That's a look at Trace Barachos, number 2, who is one of the long shots. And there is a look at Big Brown. They saddle the horses for the Preakness here out in front of the stands on the turf course so that everyone can get a good look at them. And do you think Big Brown will do it? Well, you can play the Preakness Stakes Lucky You game and win $10,000 plus a 2009 Preakness Stakes VIP trip. Go to NBCSports.com, vote for who you think will win this year's race, or you can use your cell phone, choose A for Big Brown, B for Gallego, C for Kentucky Bear, or D to pick the rest of the field. Send a text message of your choice, A, B, C, or D, to 51515. Standard rates apply, and you can increase your chances of winning by playing up to 10 times. And we remind you, for everything on the 133rd Preakness Stakes, log on to Preakness.com. Well, the call has gone to the jockey's room to file down, go across the track to the turf course where the horses are being saddled to get the final riding instructions from your trainer. And we go down the steps from the jock's room, which faces the racetrack here at Pimlico. There will be a couple that saddle in the normal paddock, which is inside. And there's Kent DeSormo, who's returning to the jockey's room.
Looking for his whip right now.
Oh, Kent almost forgot his whip. Not good. We'll be back to see if he found it in a moment. Welcome back to the Preakness at Pimlico. Jockey Kent DeSormo said earlier he'd had a few butterflies in his stomach. Well, he forgot his whip. Had to go back to the jockey's room. Now he has it.
Forget it, the valet did.
And now he's all set. All right, the horses are in the paddock being saddled. There's Kent DeSormo talking to his owners, and let's go to Mike.
What'd you say? You dream?
Baron, Reed, this horse only had 3 starts in his career. Big crowd here, a tough walkover. How did he handle the pressure?
He handled it all perfect. He got a little spooky. He wanted to look down the track towards the quarter pole when I was putting the tack on him, but other than that, he's fine. On the way over, I was kind of wishing I was going to a horse show and not a horse race. He's the best looking of the lot, I'll tell you that.
He really is good looking. You just gave Jamie Terrio some instructions. What'd you tell him?
I told him I train him, you ride him. Good luck. Bring him home.
You've been pretty confident throughout the week. You're of the opinion that Big Brown is due to bounce, and you think Kentucky Bear's sitting on maybe his best race ever.
Well, you know, you got a big, good-looking horse that's fast and in great condition. You got to try the big stuff, right?
Right, he's 1-5. That doesn't scare you?
No, they get beat every day.
Thank you, Reed. Good luck. Let's go to Tom Hammond.
All right, Mike, is Kent DeSormo still having a little fun with a fun-loving group, the ownership and the trainer and stable help. There's a look at Walter Blum Jr., Wally Blum, who came into the picture there for a moment, son of the Hall of Fame jockey who helps Rick Dutrow.
You're like home.
And there is Big Brown. And Big Brown has had foot problems. That's why he's only made the 4 career starts. But he has some special shoes to try to take care of that. For report, here's Donna.
Well, Tom, every other horse that runs in the Preakness today will be running in what they call a Queen's Plate. It's a nail-on shoe, very simple shoe. A front set of these will cost you about $75 to be put on. Not good enough for Big Brown. Big Brown races in the Jimmy Choo of horseshoes. This is a special shoe designed by blacksmith Ian McKinley with these copper clips on the side to help aid with the adherence to the foot. Also, it has a polyurethane filler in here, which provides cushion in between the horse's tender foot and also the aluminum of the shoe. A set of these, $550. McKinley has named this shoe the Yasha shoe, which he said loosely translates in Japanese to defender or survivor. 2 words that aptly describe Big Brown so far, Tom.
Well, he had a problem with some quarter cracks, Donna, and Ian McKinley, as he was changing the shoes on Big Brown on Thursday, said his feet look beautiful at the moment.
That's not even funny. He went 25.
You like something like that one, you got to ask him where his car is.
Yeah.
All right, there's a look at Rick Dutrow and at Kent DeSormo. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll await the cue for Riders Up. We're back at Pimlico. The horses circling. If they were human athletes, we'd say staying loose. As we see 1-5 still on Big Brown. 13-1 Kentucky Bear, Gallego at 8-1. I just saw Gallego sort of rear up a little bit there, but I think most of them have acted well in this whole new experience being saddled out on the turf course with all the fans staring at them.
They're all acting very well out there, Tom, and I think somebody forgot to tell Big Brown that he hasn't won the Preakness yet. He's walking around that area out there like he owns it already. He owns Churchill Downs, but he doesn't own Pimlico yet.
That's kind of the message he always sends, isn't it? He's become quite the ham when he hears the camera drives clicking. He pricks those ears up and almost poses as if he knew what was going on. As we said earlier, very intelligent horse, very calm horse, and no problems with him now as Rick Dutrow looks on wearing his lucky blue suit. And there he stops to take a look. They let him do it. As we said, very curious, checking it all out.
I think a bold move this morning by Rick Dutrow, blowing this horse out. A lot of trainers would have said, look, I've got him here safe. I'm not going to take any chances at this point right now, but they got through it, and he looks good right now.
And now the call for Riders Up.
Riders up! Riders up!
And the horses will make their way out onto the track for the post parade. That's Macho again with young Julien Laperoux in the saddle. Grace Barachos. And coming up will be the singing of Maryland, My Maryland. As the horses continue to file toward the track, Ichabod Crane. Here's Yankee Bravo. This is Race Car Rhapsody and Robbie Alvarado. Kent DeSormo getting ready to get a leg up. There he goes.
This is when the butterflies kind of stop, Tom. Once you've been legged up and it's just you and the horse right there, and believe me, as soon as Kent DeSormo gets out there on the racetrack, he's going to be a lot more comfortable than he was in the jock's room when he forgot his whip walking out of there.
All right. Ready now for the call to the post and then the singing of Maryland, My Maryland.
Thou wilt not cower
U.S. Naval Academy Glee Club with the singing of Maryland, My Maryland. Big smile on Kent DeSormo's face. Big Brown's too, probably, the way he's been handling all this. And ready to take a look at the Preakness horses in the post parade before this $1 million second jewel of the Triple Crown. Number 1 is Macho again from the West Point Syndicate, headed by West Point grad Terry Finley. Ridden by 24-year-old French native Julien Leperoux, his first Preakness. This colt 3 wins and 8 starts, including the Derby trial in his last race. Number 2, Tres Borrachos, 3 drunks in Spanish. Infer what you will from the 3-man ownership group, including trainer Bo Greeley. Tyler Bays rides his first Preakness on this gelding, who was 3rd in the Arkansas Derby. Number 3 is Ichabod Crane. Jockey Jeremy Rose, as we mentioned earlier, won that 2005 Preakness on a fleet, Alex. Ichabod Crane just vanned in from Fair Hill, Maryland this morning, about an hour trip, and he does have a win over this track in the Tessio Stakes. Number 4, Yankee Bravo. 22 years ago, Alex Solis won the Preakness aboard Snow Chief. Yankee Bravo began his career in England. He's also raced in Northern California, Louisiana, and Southern California, where he was 4th in the Santa Anita Derby 42 days ago. Number 5 behind at the bar was scratched. Number 6 is Race Car Rhapsody. Robbie Alvarado tries to become the first back-to-back Preakness winner since Pat Day won 3 straight from 94 to 96. Co-owner Jerry Carroll also owns Kentucky Motor Speedway, hence the name. The colt 4th in the Lexington has never been worse than 4th. 7 is Big Brown. Could be the 4th horse to win the Preakness while undefeated. And it's a homecoming for Kent DeSormo, who won 5 riding titles and an Eclipse Award while riding in Maryland. And for Rick Dutrow, born in Hagerstown, he attended high school in Howard County, Maryland. Big Brown 4 for 4 by a combined 34 lengths. Number 8 is Kentucky Bear, trained by Canadian Reed Baker, who says his colt gained 75 pounds in Kentucky, eating grass like a lawnmower. He's raced only 3 times, most recently a 3rd in the Bluegrass Stakes after a rough trip. Number 9 is Stevel. Nick Zito ties Max Hirsch with his 19th Preakness starter. That's 2nd all-time behind Wayne Lucas. Zito won with Louis Quatorze in 1996. He's in the Hall of Fame, and so Sunday will be John Velasquez, who was 5th in his only previous Preakness. Stevel finished 4th in the Bluegrass. 10 is Riley Tucker. Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott returns to the Preakness for the first time in 24 years with a colt named for his son. Edgar Prado, a former Maryland riding star, voted into the Hall of Fame this year. Riley Tucker 3rd in the Lexington. Number 11 is Giant Moon. Jockey Ramon Dominguez won 2 riding titles at Pimlico in 2001. This is a stakes-winning New York bred. Trainer Richard Schosberg says his colt needs time between races. It's been 6 weeks since he ran 4th in the Wood Memorial. Number 12, Gallego, the only Derby runner to challenge Big Brown, and named for natives of a region in northern Spain where one of the owners, Jose Prieto, went after spending 5 years as a political prisoner in Cuba. Before that 17th in Louisville, Gallego won the Arkansas Derby. And 13 is Hayburn. This is the 2nd Preakness for jockey Chucky Lopez, who has ridden more than 3,000 winners. Hayburn took the Holy Bull Stakes, entered in the Kentucky Derby, but was excluded for insufficient graded earnings. Here he is in the Preakness. And those are the horses for the 133rd running of the Preakness Stakes.
The 133rd Preakness Stakes, brought to you by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. By Lincoln Financial Group, for the means and financial confidence to say hello future. And by Crest Pro Health, help stop gingivitis before it starts.
And it's going to be Big Brown bounding home to a convincing win and the run for the roses.
2 weeks ago in Louisville, for the first time since 1929, a horse won the Kentucky Derby from the 20th post position. A decisive win that suggested more big things for Big Brown. The 3-year-old colt who has now won all 4 of his starts.
This is the horse of a lifetime.
He's the reason why we're all here.
Now trainer Rick Dutrow, jockey Kent DeSormo, and Big Brown face the next step toward a place in history. trying to become the first winner of the Triple Crown in 30 years. Up next, step 2 of that effort. The 133rd Preakness Stakes is moments away. Okay, as the race approaches, and perhaps in the category of grasping at straws, some have suggested, you might have heard Jeremy Rose say this from the jockey's room a while back, that one of the things that might work against Big Brown today is that breaking from the middle of the pack, he might have some dirt thrown back in his face, and that would be a new experience for him. Tom Hammond, what do you make of that?
Well, Bobby raced on turf, and then he was on the outside with speed, so it is a new experience for him. Do you think that would bother him should that happen? Now, he might go right for the lead, but should it get dirt in his face, would it be a problem?
He's had dirt in his face in the morning working behind 2 workmates. It hasn't been a problem. I look for 2 horses possibly to be in front of him. Gallego and Big Brown switch positions today. Gallego, blinkers are added. That's going to make him show more speed than he has in the past, and he has sprint-type speed. So I look for Kent DeSormo to be sitting in a V and try and ease him to the outside as they enter into the first turn.
And Big Brown is the 7th undefeated Kentucky Derby winner to come to the Preakness. Marty Jones won in 2004 to stay unbeaten. Seattle Slew in 1977 and Majestic Prince in 1969. All odds on, as is Big Brown today. Donna Brothers has mounted her stable pony and is out on the track. Donna, everything going well so far?
Yeah, Tom, it is. You know, just like in football, when you're analyzing football, you try to understand what the play is going to be by the formation at the line of scrimmage, and that's what Gary and I try to do in the post parade. I watched Ramon Dominguez a really good warm-up into Giant Moon, which makes me think he's got to try to put this horse on or near the lead. And as you mentioned, Gary, Gallego adds blinkers today. You don't add blinkers to bring him from off the pace. So I got to think Giant Moon and Gallego try to set the early fractions in here. And as you mentioned, Big Brown has a little bit of dirt in his face in the morning. He's had that experience. I just don't see him getting a lot of dirt. If those 2 go to the lead, it'll be a lot like his morning experience, and I think he should still be fine, Gary.
What about Trace Barachos, Donna? Is there any extra warm-up for him? Tyler Bay, sort of known as a speed-type rider, puts his horses into the race early on. This horse has been on the lead in the past. Anything going on there?
Not really. I expected to see that, too. You know, we've got 2 or 3 horses in here who look like they might want to try to gun for the lead. Ramon Dominguez with Giant Moon is the only one who took his horse away from the pony and gave him a little extra warm-up. All the other horses, including Kent DeSormo and Big Brown, stayed with the pony and just got your average little nice jog and sort of quiet your horse down sort of warm-up.
What about our man Chucky Lopez on Hayburn on the extreme outside? Now, Chucky is known as a total speed rider. He doesn't deny that. He said he's not known for rating horses, in other words, relaxing horses. And this horse, Hayburn, did lay closer to the pace in the Holy Bull when he won that race than he had in any of his other races.
Well, it's interesting you bring him up because he's a horse that caught my eye in the post parade, but for a different reason. He looks a little heavy to me. He's been off since the Holy Bull. You know, Chuck Lopez, as you say, is known to be a speed rider. When you put Chuck Lopez on, you know what you're getting. And I do think he's going to probably try to be part of this pace scenario, but unless he's just a horse who carries an awful lot of weight like Gallego, I don't see him sticking around real long, Gary.
What does Gallego look like? I mean, it was unusual for Paulo Lobo, his trainer, to take this horse to Kentucky, or away from Kentucky, back to Southern California, train him there, and then fly back 2 weeks later to Baltimore.
Well, as I mentioned, Gallego's a horse that carries a lot of weight. When he came to Kentucky off that Arkansas Derby win, I thought, how in the heck can this horse carry this much weight after what he's been doing? He's still carrying his weight, unbelievably. Not as much, and I think that's an advantage for him. The fact that he's tucked up a little bit, he looks like he's a little bit more fit and ready to go this mile and a 3/16 distance than he did coming into the Kentucky Derby for that 1.25 miles.
Well, Gallego was nearly 19-1 in the Kentucky Derby. He's the 8-1 second choice today. And a nice shot there of the dirt track here at Pimlico as the horses have completed their warm-ups and are heading toward the starting gate. How nervous must the DeSormo family be? Sonia with Joshua, Jacob right behind them. And his elation at his first Kentucky Derby, seeing his dad win on Big Brown and hoping to add the Preakness and maybe in 3 weeks the Triple Crown. Rick Dutrow has got that lucky blue suit and has his daughter Molly with him. Remember the story of Molly and all she's been through. What a great moment the Derby was for her. B. Oxenberg, 87 years old yesterday. Hayburn, named after her late husband. She said she was coming to Baltimore for the crab cakes, but I think she could go for a Preakness win as well.
She looks like a happy lady right there. Very, very excited. This could be a heck of a birthday present for her.
And a look at Kentucky Bear being led in with Jamie Theriault. His first Triple Crown race, Theriault. And there is Stevel. 3-horse is Ichabod Crane. Jeremy Rose doesn't quite want to go in. The 10 is Riley Tucker, trained by Bill Mott. Ichabod Crane went in. Shortest priced favorites, well, Fusaichi Pegasus and Riva Ridge both defeated at that price. The 6-horse, Race Car Rhapsody. And for the call of the 133rd Preakness Stakes, let's go to Tom Durkin.
And there he is, the story. Big Brown, 1-5 as he takes his position in starting gate number 7. And on the outside, it's Hayburn, ready for the start of the 133rd Preakness Stakes. And they're off. And Big Brown got off to a good start. So did Macho again down toward the inside. Big Brown forwardly placed. Macho again is there. On the far outside, here's Riley Tucker. And Riley Tucker's going to be the early leader. Hayburn with some early speed today. And Gallego, he's way out there. Big Brown has been guided to the rail. He's running along in 4th now. Then Stevel 5th. Giant Moon 6th on the outside. Macho again broke well, but he's now back running in 7th. Kentucky Bear is 8th on the outside. Race Car Rhapsody is 9th toward the rail. And then it's Ichabod Crane 10th down toward the inside, followed by Yankee Bravo. And the last of them all is Trace Barrachos. This is a very unusual spot for him. He's usually in front at this point. The opening quarter goes 23 2/5 seconds as they whip around that first turn here at Pimlico and move down the backstretch. The half was a sensible 46 4. And so it's Gallego. Gallego on top. Riley Tucker runs along in 2nd. And Big Brown, he's just loping along now. 3rd as they approach that half-mile pole. Hayburn runs along now in 4th. And down toward the inside, Stevel is 5th. Room at the rail for Kentucky Bear, and he moves now. A decisive move for Kentucky Bear going into the far turn. And Giant Moon, around the far turn they go. 3/4 up in 1, 10 2. And Big Brown looms on the outside as they round the far turn. Riley Tucker has come away with a narrow lead. Gallego fights on. Big Brown right there on the outside. Just in behind them, Kentucky Bear. Down toward the inside, Race Car Rhapsody and Hayburn. And they turn for home in the Preakness. And Big Brown has seized the lead. And he is pulling away. Big Brown's doing it again. He is disappearing from the field. He's in front by 5. And then it's Race Car Rhapsody. And on the outside, Macho again. And just cruising into the line. Kent DeSorbo looked in the rearview mirror. Nobody was there. He waltzes home to win the Preakness. No one's ever been close to Big Brown. Macho again finished in 2nd. Ichabod Crane was 3rd. So there he is, Big Brown. And it's now on to Belmont and the elusive Triple Crown.
And maybe not too elusive for him, because this was the easiest of victories. You could tell because Kent DeSormo, for half the race, was looking for somebody to challenge him, and no one was there. And remember, they said, thinking about the Belmont 3 weeks from today, they didn't want him to do too much, didn't want to take too much out of him. He just galloped. Look at the way he's pricking his ears still. He's still fresh.
Tommy ran for 3/16 of a mile. That was it. Kent DeSormo rode a brilliant race, but this horse allowed him to ride a brilliant race. You can't do that with your average horse. He switched this horse off 3 different times. It was like he was driving a race car instead of riding a race horse. Just on and off the bridle, moved when he wanted to. The race was over with. When they turned into the backside, it was done.
Yeah, a lot of horsepower in that, be it automobile or animal, because he was just cruising along. And
Sam.
Donna Brothers, we see her pulling alongside as Macho again unofficially was 2nd, Ichabod Crane 3rd, and Race Car Rhapsody was 4th. He is the 4th unbeaten Derby Preakness winner, joining Majestic Prince, Seattle Slew, and Smarty Jones. 2nd victory in the Preakness for DeSormo, the 1st for Rick Duptro, and the 69th favorite in 133 Preaknesses to win. Here's Donna.
I think you guys were letting Ken catch his breath. Ken, it didn't look like you had to work very hard for that win. What about Big Brown?
I tell you, I asked him for a stride there at the corner, almost deja vu to the Kentucky Derby. He just set sail. I looked between my legs, under my arms, They were 8 back, and I just stopped riding and reeled him in and just make sure he didn't pull up. He just kept picking his legs up and striding for the wire.
It honestly looked like the hardest part about that race for Big Brown was pulling him up after the race.
Well, I tell you what, I was nervous as nuts the first quarter of a mile. You know, I just had to reel him in. I thought they were gonna do just what they did. Blinkers added and everything else, but not one grain of sand in his face. What a lovely ride I had.
What a lovely ride that was. Kent, you've said before that everybody knows what winning the Kentucky Derby means, but you spent some of your formidable years here in the 1990s with multiple Pimlico riding titles. You said winning the Preakness actually means more to you than the Derby. What's this race today mean to you?
Well, not more, equally as much to me. This is my home, Maryland, my Maryland. I cut my teeth to the industry here. You know, coming here, it feels like when I go home to my mother's house and I walk in and I'm in my, walk into my bedroom. That's how I feel when I arrive in Maryland.
Well, we've done some stories on your son, Jacob. What's it mean to you to have Jacob actually witness this?
Well, I know he saw this one.
Good luck to you in the next leg. How about the mile and a mile and a half?
He should be fine.
Good luck. All right, let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
Rick Dutrow, daughter Molly, Mike Ivarone, and the whole crew. Well, you said when he crossed the line to me that he was a champion. He is a freak, and in racing terms, no higher compliment can be paid a racehorse.
He just keeps on getting better, just keeps on showing everybody that he is special.
All right, tell me about the journey as you watched it from the stands.
Oh, I just knew we were, when going down the backside, when Kent got him out and he was laying third on the outside, I knew it was over. He just bided his time as long as he could. I only seen him asking for run when he turned for home just to separate himself, and then he just guided himself to the wire. It was beautiful.
Talked a big game before the Derby. You were quiet as a mouse this week. Why?
I guess I was nervous, scared, the 2 weeks, stuff like that. But he's overcome everything.
Now you have 3 weeks for the big banana. The Belmont Stakes and racing history. Your thoughts?
It doesn't look like he got on his belly today, so we should have enough force to get the job done.
By on his belly means he didn't tap out today. He's got a lot of stuff left for 3 weeks from today.
It certainly looks like it, Bob.
I rode the big syndication yesterday for all that dough, and how good can life be?
It doesn't get any better than this. Can't put it into words. It's inexplainable. I mean, amazing.
What were you thinking down the back stretch as Kent kind of tucked into the rail and swung him out in a perfect position?
Well, I saw him in behind horses for the first time in his life today. He was in behind him down the backside. He checked him. I was worried, but Rick wasn't. He got him clear at the top of the stretch, and he won gear down. It was unbelievable.
Enjoy the moment. Good luck in the Belmont Stakes.
Thanks, Bob.
Let's go to Tom Hammond.
All right, Bob, and let's review for Kent DeSormo, the native of Maurice, Louisiana, who came to prominence here in Maryland. Sweet for him because he had been aboard Fusaichi Pegasus, who was an odds-on super favorite to win the Preakness and went down to defeat. But today, Big Brown, no problem. That's about as easy a victory in a Triple Crown race as you will ever see. He paid $240, $260, $240. Macho again, $17.20 and $10.40. Ichabod Crane, $560. The Exacta paid $36.60. The Trifecta was $336 and $1,100 on the Superfecta, $7,136 as Race Car Rhapsody finished fourth. Well, Gary, take us through Kent's ride here today.
Well, you heard him say that he was a little bit nervous. He gets a very, very clean break. Comes away from there, just literally floats away from the gate. Kent doesn't ask him for anything leaving there. Makes sure that he's balanced, takes a look to his right. He's going to take a look over to his left right here. And right now, this is what Kent's talking about. He starts reeling him in. He's worried about how much speed Gallego is going to show from the outside. He's going to come into your picture right now, equipped with those blinkers for the first time. Looks like Kent might be in a little bit of trouble here. This horse listens to his cue, to Kent's cue. In a perfect position, going into the first turn there. Now this is down the backside. This is where Kent gets himself out of a jackpot. He's already done it at this point. Got him out of that little slot he was in as they turned into the back stretch. Now they're in there in the far turn. 3/8 of a mile left to run, and you can see Kent on the outside there, white cap, just completely motionless. This is like deja vu of the Kentucky Derby.
Kind of like that. Again, you have the best horse, just put him on the outside so he doesn't get in any trouble and just let him roll. which is what Kent did. And I was struck during the running of the race how many times he kept looking back to see if there was anybody there.
This was basically a quarter horse experience that he put on right there. Kent taking a confident look back right there saying, where is everybody out? Never felt the sting of the whip today. Did this all on his own. You heard Rick Dutrow say we should have a fresh horse in 3 weeks going 1.5 miles.
And for the DeSormo family, wife Sonia and his 2 sons, Jacob and Joshua, another thrilling afternoon. And, you know, Jacob's a pretty good luck charm. His first Derby, victory. His first Preakness, victory. And now on to the Belmont.
They better make sure he's just down the road from his home at Belmont Park. This horse has answered every single question that's been thrown at him. The 12-hole in Florida, the 20-hole in the Kentucky Derby. Breaks from the center today, has dirt thrown in his face for the first time. He rates off the pace, makes 3 different moves, and still sprints away as a champion.
And Rick Dutrow there with his daughter Molly as Kent DeSormo is heading for the winner's circle. He forgot that whip to start with. Guess what? He didn't need it. Thanks to the MetLife blimp for providing today's dramatic coverage. MetLife has the protection you need for the most important ifs in your life. Visit MetLife.com today. Big Brown headed back to the stable after cruising to victory in the Preakness. They didn't try to put the black-eyed Susans on him because he doesn't like those flowers draped over him, remember? Actually, not even black-eyed Susans. Maybe he knew that. They're Viking daisies painted to look like black-eyed Susans, which aren't in season yet. Let's take a look.
I was going to say, if it wasn't for that dirt, for the dirt on the front of his bandages, it doesn't look like a horse who just ran 1 mile and 3/16.
Time now for our Avodart in case you missed it replay.
Tom, he just floats away, as I said in our previous rerun. Number 7 here in the center of the screen. Kent just gets him balanced, gets him on his feet. As I said, takes a look to his right, takes a look to his left, starts reeling him in here right now.
Yeah, you can just see him snugging back on him, can't you?
Snugging back on him. He's worried about Gallego on the outside there with the blinkers on for the first time, showing more speed. This horse has never been put in this position before. Kent's got a lot of confidence here right now. The 10 horse just in front of him right there. Riley Tucker's out off the rail, so he's not really getting any dirt in his face right now. Slides his way out, pushes Riley Tucker out just enough that he can get out from behind Gallego, where he's still not getting any dirt. Right now,
you have a horse that you just, anytime you ask him to run, he can give you a little burst just to stay out of trouble if need be.
This horse quickens up, he slows down. Edgar Prado encouraging Riley Tucker right now to go up and keep Gallego company. Kent reels him back, gets to the outside, takes a little peek back just to see who's coming up on his outside. That's Hay Baron in the pink silks just behind him. Kent's got to be the most confident guy in the world right now.
And is it common to be sneaking so many peaks under your arm?
Well, it's really not, because you very rarely have that confidence that Kent DeSormo has. As they approach the 3/8 pole, you see him take one little peek back there. Now you're going to see the radar go on, the rear view mirror. He's looking to see if anybody's coming. He doesn't want to ask this horse any earlier than he has to. Right now, he's already thinking about the Belmont Stakes. He doesn't want to milk this horse for any more than he's worth right now, or for any more than he needs to. Takes the peek under his arm. That's so the horse doesn't lose his balance. He's not turning around looking. Another peek under there. He's going to look between his legs here, and the race is over with. He literally runs for 3/16 of a mile.
And so he will be a fresh horse for the 1.5 mile Belmont in 3 weeks. All by himself. And he looks like a $50 million horse, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And looks like $50 million might have been cheap here. In excess of $50 million. I guess now the question is going to be, how many challengers is he going to have for the Belmont Stakes in 3 weeks from now? But this is the thing that amazes me. In 27 years of riding, I've never seen a horse accelerate like this horse does. And the MetLife blimp shot right here shows it as good as any shot can. And this is poetry in motion right here, Tom.
You know, the great Eddie Arcaro said Citation, who won the Triple Crown in 1948, had 3 moves. You just used them whenever you needed them. Maybe Big Brown is in the same category. That was our Avodart, in case you missed it, replay. A Big Brown with the IEAH colors being painted on the cupola here at the weather vane here at Pimlico. And of course, Big Brown is a 3-year-old colt by Boundary out of Mien by Nureyev, bred in Kentucky by Montague. Here is the complete order of finish. Big Brown, Macho again, Ichabod Crane, Race Car Rhapsody. Kentucky Bear a little disappointing as he finishes in 8th place. Giant Moon, Trace Barachos, Yankee Bravo, Gallego, and Riley Tucker. Kent DeSormo, he'll be in the winner's circle. We'll hear from him again when we return. Back at Pimlico, where unbeaten Big Brown has cruised to victory in the Preakness Stakes. And now, for the Winner's Circle presentation ceremony, let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. The governor of the state of Maryland, Martin O'Malley, is here. He will make the presentation of the Woodlawn Vase to Mike Ivorone, who represents the ownership group for Big Brown. And to begin the ceremony, here is Belinda Stronach, representing Magna Entertainment Corporation. Belinda.
Thank you, Bob. What an amazing day for racing, and it's great to see so many people having just a great time. And on behalf of Frank Stronach, Magna Entertainment Corporation, and the Maryland Jockey Club, I want to be the first to congratulate Big Brown and his owners and the trainer and the jockey. What an incredible race. And it's now my pleasure to introduce you, the governor of Maryland, Martin O'Malley. And he also confessed to me, not only is he a big racing fan, but he is also a Big Brown fan.
Absolutely. This is a great day for Maryland. To Belinda Stronach, thank you, and Magna Entertainment for such a terrific day here at Pimlico. Very historic setting and a terrific race. And to Mike Ivorone and to our Maryland trainer, Dick Dutrow, of whom we're very, very proud. This is a great day for Maryland and Maryland jockey. And we're just so very excited about this race. It was terrific. Thank you so much. This was a great day for Maryland. And I just am looking forward to the future and securing Maryland's racing tradition as we move forward through the 134th running. And Bob, let me switch places and we'll make the presentation.
Careful with that vase. You know it's the most valuable trophy in all of sports, as they say. Make sure you've got a firm and secure grasp.
Michael, it is my privilege to present to you the most coveted trophy in all of sport, the Woodlawn Vase, and here from the Preakness Stakes of Maryland. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, one step away. It hasn't been done in 30 years. What are your thoughts?
It was the most mind-boggling experience I've ever had. I mean, I thought we were in trouble. He was in behind horses. He got dirt in his face for the first time. But then I see at the 3/8 pole, I see Kent looking back, and I said, we're going back to New York.
It's been reported that you sold his syndication rights for some $50 million. Maybe you undersold him. Maybe you should have waited till after the Belmont.
Well, that's a figure that I cannot confirm. That's we're not disclosing the financial side of the deal, but we did do a deal with Three Chimneys this morning, which was finalized, and we're honored to be in business with the likes of the Clays. We're so excited to secure his future because he deserves a good life after racing.
Congratulations. 2 out of 3.
Thank you so much, Bob.
All right, Mike. Let's go over to another Mike, Mike Battaglia.
All right. Thank you, Bob, and congratulations, Kent DeSormo, Rick Dutrow, on just a spectacular performance by Big Brown. And Rick, I just heard Michael Ivorone say that he thought the horse was in a little bit of trouble at one point down the backstretch. When did you know that he was a winner?
When Kent got him outside of the other two horses, that Zayed horse was hounding him a little bit, kind of putting pressure on him at a certain point where he didn't have to. But after Kent let that horse go and he set up outside of them, I started smiling.
And what a race he ran. That was one of the most impressive performances we've seen in a Triple Crown race in a long time.
I got to tell you, anybody that has ever touched him, seen him, have anything to do with him are the luckiest people in the world.
All right, Kent DeSormo, what a rocking chair ride. Can we call it a rocking chair ride? This is a push-button horse?
Armchair ride, yeah. Armchair ride with a big button.
Let's take a look at the head-on here, Kent. Talk about your trip. How did he come out of the gate?
You know, he slipped behind, and immediately I was pitched back at least a length. So I already knew what I was doing. I just reached, grabbed him, and asked him to stay right there, a length behind him. Got lucky right here. I was able to stay in tight to the rail, and I right through here, just cruising along, not asking him for any speed, actually have him under restraint. He's
not worried about the horses in front of you, dirt in your face for the first time?
Yes, I was, of course. And right here, right there was where I jumped the sand and put him on the outside. And then this was a hairy moment right here because the other guy pushed the button, clucked at his horse and really forced the issue to keep me trapped. I said, well, I'm not getting involved in this situation. I just took him and drug him back, swung him out, and that's when I knew things were going to be really cozy. Now's the cozy spot. Just cantering along.
When did you start looking around?
About the half-mile pole. Unlike the Kentucky Derby, where I had to start knuckling on him to get him to go get the leaders, today I was slowing down not to pass the leaders. It was really a dramatic change from from 2 weeks ago in the Kentucky Derby. He was well in hand right now. I'm actually looking behind me, making sure that I don't leave the door open and let horses slide inside of us and steal my spot. Just cantering along. Right now, I'm actually truly slowing him down, begging him to let off the gas. And we're going to see a little deja vu here in a little bit. I'm going to push the button. And for anybody who's seen this, my favorite shot, the blimp, who said this horse doesn't have turn of foot? I just let him go. Bye-bye. Woo! That is scintillating. Now I'm going to look under my arms here and between my legs, make sure I've got the race won, and ease him to the wire, slow him down, and save him for the Belmont.
Well, you're 2/3 of the way there, guys. And what are you going to do in preparation for the Belmont? You really didn't have to do much, Rick, in preparation for the Preakness. You got 3 weeks now to think about the Belmont.
Well, I'm just going to breeze him one time, and it might work out to where I blow him out again, the same thing as I did this morning. But he'll just get one breeze.
One breeze, Tom, you heard it, and then it's on to the Belmont. Kent, Rick, congratulations. Big Brown, just a huge winner here in the Preakness. To you, Tom.
All right, Mike, he's won all 5 of his races by an average victory margin of almost 8 lengths.
Back at the 133rd Preakness Stakes, and first of all, we ought to acknowledge the collective sigh of relief here and around the racing world as 2 weeks after the tragedy of 8 Bells and on the track where 2 years ago Barbaro went down, the Preakness Stakes was contested without incident, and in the process a possible super horse added to his growing credentials. 2 down and 1 to go now for Big Brown. But how difficult that last one has proven to be. Since Affirmed won the Triple Crown in 1978, no fewer than 10 horses have won the Derby and then the Preakness, only to come up short at the Belmont. They call it the test of the champion. And in recent years, it's a test that horses like War Emblem, Funny Side, and Smarty Jones couldn't ace. We'll see how Big Brown can do 3 weeks from today as he tries to do what hasn't been done in 3 decades. Tom?
All right, Bob, and it's become one of the most difficult feats to achieve in all of sports, but based on his Derby and Preakness and based on the competition that he's facing, you have to think he's got a good shot.
I think he's got a great shot, and the scary thing about this, if the Derby wasn't his best race and today was his best race and he keeps improving, we haven't seen the best of Big Brown yet. So
I will say
possibilities
there is a horse named Casino Drive that had his first race in Japan, came to the States in the Peter Pan Stakes at Belmont, won it. He's a half-brother to the last 2 Belmont Stakes winners, Jazzle and Rags to Riches. And who rode him in the Peter Pan? Kent DeSormo, scouting the opposition.
I might have to come out of retirement to ride Casino Drive in the Belmont Stakes. That's not going to happen.
All right, and 3 weeks from today, the Belmont Stakes, see if he can get the Triple Crown. We'll turn it over to our friends at ABC 3 weeks from today. So go to the all-new NBCSports.com for exclusive video replays and analysis from our experts on today's Preakness Stakes. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's your local news. Then starting at 8, 7 Central, it's Medium, followed by Law and Order, Criminal Intent, and Law and Order. So for our entire NBC Sports crew, this is Tom Hammond saying so long from Pimlico. You've been watching the 133rd Preakness Stakes on NBC.